Welcome to the Life Endurance Podcast, where we study methods of unlocking your true potential and explore the greatest endurance race we all partake in, life. Previously, we talked about the importance of your vision, which is becoming clear on who you are and what you want in life, and understanding your why behind them. If you haven't listened to that episode, I suggest doing so now. In this episode, I'm going to dive deeper into what I mean by having a clear vision and how to develop that vision. So your vision is ultimately a tool, as we covered in the previous episode, something to help you navigate life and stay on track with what is truly meaningful to you. If your vision of the future is vague, your tool is significantly less effective. And the purpose of this episode is to strengthen and sharpen that tool, to make it stronger than any obstacle that enters your path. Now, it's easy to just imagine an over-the-top billionaire lifestyle, living on a yacht, money being no object, but I really want you to challenge yourself with this. I'm willing to bet that's probably not your true desire. Your vision has to have deep purpose and meaning behind it for it to be a useful tool in creating that reality. Everything in it has to have emotion attached to it. So here's where I want you to start. Think about the things in your life that matter the most to you. What brings you the most joy? What do you truly long for? Some examples for me. I love dogs more than almost anything. So I want some well-trained, lovable dogs in my future. I want to be able to take them to work with me, and to have enough money that they are always taken care of, and I can bring them with me basically wherever I want to go. Being in the mountains is something that simply brings me so much joy and peace, so I want to have a home in the mountains, giving me the ability to enjoy that part of nature whenever I want. Driving fast cars is one of the few things that can bring a smile to my face no matter what, and are my favorite form of art mixed with engineering. So I have very specific automotive and financial goals attached to my vision. I value being in good physical shape very highly. I know nothing feels better than being confident in my looks and my physical ability. I'm very much a relationship type person. The people I admire most in this world are power couples who work together to build an amazing life, support each other's missions, stay fit together, and are obviously in love to any onlooker. So my future relationship with a partner is a very specific vision for me. And using that last one as an example for this, the last one is definitely hard to stay on track with these days. Dating is a strange world with different apps, social media, not to mention the pandemic we had not long ago. And I'm often made fun of for being way too picky by my friends. And while I could stray from my vision, maybe having more fun, giving into, say, more immediate pleasures and having less meaningful relationships, I always feel very content when I stick to my vision despite going on probably much fewer dates than probably most my age. And I'm becoming more and more clear every year on what the person I want to be with is like, and strive to be the kind of person that would attract them. I could go on, and we'll bring up more examples later, but hopefully you understand what I mean by including things that really matter to you in your vision. Yes, endless money, attractive partners, and a luxurious home sounds nice to most anyone. But your vision will not serve you and help you navigate life unless you have a deeper meaning behind it. When you have a decision to make, if your vision is vague, like simply being filthy rich, then you don't really have an emotional attachment to it, so you're likely to pick the easy path, making a decision that really isn't getting you any closer to your dreams. You'll more easily give in to that extra dessert, getting wasted at a party instead of training for the marathon you've always wanted to do, continuing with a relationship with a toxic partner just because it's what feels normal and in its own way comfortable. Your vision will have many layers to it, so it'll take time to build, applying to all aspects of your life I mentioned before. Your home, your relationships, your family, your fitness, job, hobbies. Each one you need to get very clear on if you want to be serious in your pursuit and living a fulfilling life. So again, take some time to think about what is really meaningful to you. This will be different for everyone. For me, some things are I want to build an online presence that inspires as many people as I can to better their lives as well as my own. Helping others makes me happy. I also want to be able to provide financially for my entire future family and current. I want to compete in the Moab 240 one day and run 240 miles through the Moab because endurance sports are extremely fulfilling to me. I don't expect others to remotely have any desire to do that. Maybe your passion is teaching music to underprivileged children because music has helped you through difficult times in life, or building handcrafted boats because your father used to do that with you as a child. Now that you have identified some things that fulfill you, start building your vision big picture. Think far in the future. What is your dream life like? Build out a clear vision of your home, your family, your relationships, your career. Even write it down so you can remember it all. Build every component with emotion behind it. Know why you chose that piece to place in your life. That emotion is the key to making this a tool, a roadmap to achieving your goals. Once again, this is a subject with many components, so there will definitely be more to come, so I'll just add one more overarching piece to this. So we talked about your more external vision of life, material things, jobs, people around you. But there is another and arguably more important piece of the puzzle. Who you are as a person, your values, how you conduct yourself. Take the same principles as before. Create a vision of yourself that you would admire, that you would feel proud to be. Dive into different parts of you and build that vision. How you treat people, how you take care of your body, your work ethic. It could be specific skills and hobbies or your job, like running a sub 3-hour marathon or being really good at sales. Again, you are building a tool, and if you can get that vision clear, that tool will serve you in every scenario. It will guide you in every situation on how to conduct yourself in a way that stays true to how you want others to view you and allows you to still feel good about yourself. Feel free to pause now if you want to take some time to reflect on that. Now, I want to talk about a few times I have used vision to push through difficult times, as well as how I have failed in the past to keep my vision and how that caused a downward spiral. I think one of the best examples for me is my college years. So if you don't know, I went to school for mechanical engineering. I certainly consider myself smart. Definitely above average in intelligence, particularly in math and science, as you would expect from an engineering student. But the reality was, I honestly hated school. I hated college. I did not enjoy the experience. While I am smart, I did have to work my tail off to get through high-level math classes, physics, the intense amount of homework and studying. So in general, college was really not easy for me. And school is also kind of one of those things that really, at least in my opinion, isn't a reward until the end. And the end, it's just, okay, I spent a bunch of money and now I have a piece of paper that should be able to get me a job. But I digress. So really in school, I always kind of felt like every accomplishment, the reward was really, okay, you just get to live another day. Okay, I passed that test. And your reward is just a sense of relief more than victory. So really for 4.5 years, I was really just battling, trying to survive. I did not enjoy the experience, but my vision was to become an engineer. Deep down, I wanted to become an engineer. That had emotion behind it. That was meaningful to me. Even now that I don't work in the most traditional engineering roles, my overarching business goals really aren't directly related to what I did in school, but I still consider myself an engineer first and foremost. And whenever I was struggling, walking home at night, 2 a.m. from the library with an 8 a.m. the next day, I was always pondering the future, considering that future vision, how I wanted to build a career, what it would be like to be able to say I'm an engineer. Ultimately, I just spent a lot of time focusing on that vision, and that was enough to motivate me and to push through the difficult times the insane mental stress I put on myself, and for me, just the perfect example of how you can go years with what feels like little to no reward, while the entire time fighting for one single goal. Another good example that I'll speak more in another episode is completing my first Ironman. So again, I'm definitely more fit than most people. I was not, I'd say, a natural when it came to these sort of things. I grew up, I did sports, but I was primarily a golfer. I was definitely on the chubby side, and then one year I decided to go for a half marathon. That came and passed faster than expected, so I moved up to a marathon that same year. And now, I'm pretty decent at distance running, but, it's not something I was very naturally inclined to. On the swimming side, I literally couldn't put my head underwater without my nose plugged until I was 21 years old. Something that every once or twice a year, I would just go to the pool, just shove my head underwater, try to force myself to make it work, and it's just one of those things that eventually it clicks, and one day it clicked. And that was the day I knew I could complete an Ironman, which had always deep down been a goal of mine. My dad completed one when I was much younger. He competed at a much higher level than me, but deep down I knew I wanted to do an Ironman one day. And then on top of that, turns out my body really does not like long distance biking. In Ironman, you ride these triathlon bikes that are built for aerodynamics. You hunch over, you got these bars that you can lay your elbows on. An Ironman, the bike portion, I think took me over 6 hours, maybe 7, and I could barely hold that aerodynamic position for more than 2 minutes at a time when I started. I was in excruciating pain. So that was something I had to put a lot of work and adapt into. And then on top of that, where I live in Iowa, is just the most boring route in existence. So I really did not enjoy the bike training portion of that. But obviously, since it is 7 hours worth of the race, which took me just under 14 hours to complete, an important component. So throughout those, difficult moments, I just kept that vision in my head. Even when I was biking or running, I would literally just say to myself, I am an Ironman, and I envision myself crossing that finish line. And, people talk about that all the time, and it sounds a little, woo-woo, goofy. How does that really do anything? But that would give me energy in the moment. And then when I did get to that Ironman, I just kept that vision in my head and I pushed through. I didn't really question being able to finish, but I did question hitting the time goal I wanted to. And I ended up crushing that time by over an hour. And when I crossed the finish line, I was literally in tears because I had envisioned that so many times. And as I mentioned before, personal relationships. I am definitely very stubborn when it comes to this. Overall, I like to think I've stuck well to my values and trying to focus on building that ideal relationship I kind of mentioned earlier. I would say having that clear vision definitely changes the way I think and act when it comes to, trying to find a romantic partner. There's certainly a lot of temptation out there. If you're just desperate to be in a relationship, it's easy to fall into a trap of something that, maybe it seems fun at first and then becomes toxic or ultimately isn't fulfilling. And I do believe that it's no mystery that divorce rates are so high. Most relationships end. It's just because people don't put enough thought into it, or they're not disciplined enough in truly seeking out the right partner and holding true to their vision. There have certainly been times where I definitely, didn't necessarily hold true to my vision, and a few times where I didn't fully go into a relationship, but spent more time than I should have with somebody that I wasn't ultimately interested in, and then in the end somewhat leading them on, hurting them in a way. So I'm certainly not perfect, but that's just a good example of not acting based on what my vision is. Something needs to be a all-around good fit. I can't let myself settle for, okay, these couple things match, these other ones don't. I know what I'm looking for, and it might take a while to find it, but ultimately life will be better maintaining that standard I set for myself. And the last personal experience that is another very good example was the year of 2022 when I tried to go out on my own for business. I had quite literally spent the prior 12 months mentally building myself up for this, getting the ideas in my head and trying to crush limiting beliefs. Like I've mentioned before, I am not a risk-taking individual typically. I definitely am the play it safe type, especially with money. And I really had to push through a lot of things that are just not typical for me. So I jumped in, ultimately, just living off of my savings, spending lots of money training, investing in myself, different technology, materials, like this podcast setup. And it's really amazing, following the advice of the people I look up to on creating your vision and how that can just fuel you to an insane level. While ultimately the year did not go as planned, I really pushed through new levels because of the vision I had in my head of the business I wanted to start, the goals, the financial results, the freedoms it could bring me. It pushed me beyond my comfort zone and really opened up a new level of possibilities. And even though it seemed like everything was pressed against me at the time, I had a very unfortunate financial and emotional event that set me back greatly and I really let derail my plans. I never developed the inner circle I had intended to. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen to my inner circle episode. And ultimately, I burnt out, but I really did push so much further than I even previously imagined I could without reaching, a high level of success. And that was because I was very clear on my vision. And on the flip side, once I did burn out, I fell into different things that maybe didn't align with my vision, business things that, could be some money, but ultimately didn't align with my overarching goals, and I really lost myself for a while. And the big factors were that lacking that inner circle and not living in a location or surroundings that really push me and inspire me. So ultimately, I lost sight of my vision, and I've been in a place that vision just doesn't seem possible. It's very cloudy. I can't pull upon it like I used to. And there were a few months where I was really spiraling, just not living that purpose over pleasure life, not eating right, not going to the gym, sleeping too much, just all these things that are an obvious decision when I'm very clear on my vision to not do. When I can't see that path forward, I know I give in too easily to things like ice cream, sleeping in, just playing video games instead of working on another podcast. Again, just really showing how this can be like flipping a switch. I went from super clear vision to what I want and making decisions based off of that, to not being able to see that path forward and spiraling downward, putting on weight, not liking myself, feeling disappointed every day. And I'm currently in a phase of rebuilding that vision, rebuilding myself. My goal this year is ultimately to really recreate myself and become the person I've always wanted to be. Not to say that, I completely hate who I have been by any means. I've accomplished a lot. There's a lot of things I'm proud of, but I really want to take it to that next level and stop compromising. Part of that, I will finally be moving this next month to a location that I've been trying to get to for several years now. So I'm feeling optimistic. I'm trying to rebuild that dream, that vision forward. And I look forward to sharing more on how that vision can serve me. I hope this episode has spurred some ideas for you. I really challenge you to take time every day, even if possible, to build your vision. And once you do have a vision built, really always take time every day to look back at it. Read it on a piece of paper. Think about it before you go to bed, when you wake up. The more you can focus on that, it is amazing the things you can push through. Like I mentioned, school, was honestly an awful experience for me. I was extremely depressed. I did not enjoy my time there. It was difficult day in, day out, and I pushed through for the better part of 5 years just to get, a diploma, an engineering degree. And I don't regret it. It's still probably my proudest accomplishment, and having that vision forward was fundamentally what got me through all of that pain and extremely hard work. So I hope you can build your own vision that will allow you to push through those hard times and really live a meaningful life. Appreciate your time listening. If you want to follow along, definitely subscribe if you have not. Please share this with anybody you think this could help. I want to impact as many people as I can with this podcast. And as always, I look forward to sharing the next episode.